Hello there everyone, it is TIJ Gaming and welcome to a brand new video and the start of a brand new series. Today we start the 2014 Formula 1 season around the Albert Park circuit in Melbourne, Australia for the first race of the 2014 season. And I just decided to do 2014 because I loved the year. It was the first hybrid year. Of course, Mercedes dominated. Williams were back to form after years of heartbreak. They very nearly won the British Grand Prix, among others. It was a great year for Red Bull as well. Daniel Ricciardo's first year. The end of Sebastian Vettel's reign. And, of course, Lewis Hamilton's first championship since 2008. So a lot of good stories in there. Of course, one terrible story with the passing of Jules Bianchi from that 2014 Japanese Grand Prix crash. But of course, Felipe Massa going to Williams, that double podium for McLaren in Australia. There are so many memories from 2014 that I guess apart from that real domination from Mercedes at the top, it was really close between everybody else. You've got that group of Red Bull, Ferrari, Williams, McLaren even getting in there. Sometimes I remember that Force India were quite competitive. Of course, back then we still had Caterham and Marussia, so a real great grid, a real dynamic grid with some fantastic drivers, of course, drivers that we don't have on the grid anymore. The likes of Rosberg, as you can see, even Kobayashi, Maldonado, Fernando Alonso, of course, Felipe Massa, Esteban Gutierrez, Jenson Button, John-Eric Verne, and Adrian Sutil, maybe Adrian Sutil, not the best name to mention there, but such a great season, and I thought I'd go back to 2014. Now, I've chosen Ferrari for the team because I'd whittled it down to 3 teams, really. I wanted to be in one of those top 3 teams, barring Mercedes, so it's a choice between Williams, Ferrari and Red Bull. Now, I've done Williams career modes before, so I thought I'd stay away from Williams. And then I had a really tough choice between Ferrari and Red Bull. I thought, wouldn't it be great to try and topple Sebastian Vettel? That would be really brilliant to do. But equally, I thought, being teammate to Fernando Alonso, that would be fascinating as well. Of course, Felipe Massa leaving the team to go to Williams. Kimi Raikkonen, of course, joined. But we've booted Raikkonen out the seat. And it was just a case of a head or tails choice, really. And we've gone for Ferrari. So hopefully this season will be great. And I'm going to be doing these twice a week. On a Tuesday and a Saturday, fingers crossed, at 6 PM British time release. So don't forget to hit the notification bell if you subscribe to the channel to get the notifications when these videos come out. But just to go through the season, we've got most of the races that are on the calendar now. We've got a few that have been lost from the calendar. Malaysia is the second race. We've got the usual, really, all the way up to Germany, of course, which, yes, was in the calendar last year, but unfortunately won't be this year. Well, we don't know what will be this year, I suppose. It was the first year of Russia as well. The Russian Grand Prix, it was the debut Russian Grand Prix. But apart from that, all the same races as what we've got now. It's a 19-race season. Without any further ado, let's go. Sunny Albert Park. Gotta love it. The traditional start of any season, and just look. It's all red. Everywhere. The car's red, the team's red. All you can see is red. Apart from that blue sky, of course. It's a glorious day in Melbourne, and we are here for Q1. We're getting a few tutorials. I'm not too fussed about that. It's the same as any other game being in the garage. But, of course, we've got 3 qualifying sessions. Just going with short weekends, so the 3 qualifying sessions along with a 25% race. And we'll have to see how we get on in Q1. We'll probably go out on the prime tyres. It shouldn't be too much issue getting through. We'll just check before we do go what the chances of rain are potentially for the race. Is it going to be a dry weekend? Yes, it looks like it's going to be completely dry. So no worries with rain. Just trying to remind myself how many drivers drop out of this session. It's from 17th to 22nd. So 6 drivers go out. Ordinarily it's going to be Marussia, Caterham and 2 of the slowest drivers from the other teams. So if we just go out on the prime, set some laps, get familiar with this game again, and hopefully we should do pretty decently. So here we are then, the first bit of on-track action of the new season. As you can see, we're not quite up to pace yet, but I'm sure that'll change fairly soon. I mean, as you can see, we're over 4 seconds off that best lap time by Lewis Hamilton at the moment. But we're just trying to get used to the game. Of course, very different dynamics to what you would expect on any F1 game. So just getting out of Q1 is the most important thing at the moment. Let's see what the lap time is. It's going to beat Roman Grosjean, I would say, and it's a 1:30.9, but I'd say we probably need to beat that. As you can see, we've got Jules Bianchi half a second behind us, but Esteban Gutierrez above us is 1.2 seconds above us, so we've got to get out of the way of Nico Rosberg as well, who's just gone P13 just above us. So let's see how we go. I didn't think I'd be uttering these words going on to a flying lap in Q1. We're in 18th at the moment. We do need to improve our pace just a tad. We are way off at the moment, and we need to improve, so We've probably got 2 laps to do it. We can stretch to 3 because we've got just that little bit of time. But hopefully we won't need that many. And hopefully we can get through Q1. We're about 3/10 up on Romain Grosjean to the Delta. Let's see if we can make it the same as we go across the line. Coming into that last corner. DRS open. Can we get out of Q1? This would be pretty embarrassing if we can't. I don't think we are. On this lap, we've lost a lot in that last sector. Yes, we have gained by 4/10, but goodness me. Can't believe that we are very much on the verge of going out of Q1. This is make or break time, this lap. It really is. And hopefully we can get the improvement we need, or else we're going to be starting P18. Well, this wouldn't quite be the best way to impress our new employers, so we've got to pull something out of the hat now. We are a few tenths up on Romain Grosjean once again, but it seems we're losing all the time in this last sector, and I don't particularly know where we're losing it. We're getting up to speed at that last corner fairly quickly, I would say, so we've just got to give it our all as we open up the DRS. It's going to be close. I don't think we're going to do it, though. We're not going to do it. And that was poorer than it was before. That is pretty painful. Ouch. The slowest driver in the field, apart from those bottom 4 drivers. Well, that's interesting. We've got a lot of ground to make up tomorrow in the race. As you can see, the 2 Mercedes very close at the front. Fernando is the next driver, and Perez is the first option runner in 4th. So we'll have to see how qualifying gets on for the rest of them. But this is going to be a real uphill struggle to just get some points down from 18th. Not the best way to impress Ferrari, is it, on your first race? Goodness me. All strapped in, ready for our first start. We have got a lot on our mind. And that is Nico Hülkenberg, who was qualified 3rd in the Force India. That is an absolutely tremendous performance. Fernando starts in 4th. Of course, the 2 Mercedes, not a surprise that they lock out the front row. We've pretty much been 2 by 2 then. We've got the Red Bulls and the Williams cars. We've got the Force India of Perez that separates the McLarens. Then we've got the Toro Rosso, the 2 Toro Rosso of Kvyat and Verne. Then we've got Grosjean, the 2 Saubers, and then of course Maldonado ourselves, and the 2 back row teams. So let's have a look at our strategy for today. So, yeah, I think we've got to go pretty bog standard. Start on the option tyres, try and make up as much ground as we can on that first lap, because in F1, unfortunately, for the viewers' sake, the first lap is by far the best opportunity to make gains on other drivers. But hopefully, throughout this 15-lap race, we can use this as a bit of a test session, get up to speed on the game, and fingers crossed, pick up some valuable points. But from down in 18th, this is still going to be tricky. Perhaps a safety car and a few other elements could go into our favour. But I cannot believe that is an absolutely fantastic qualifying from Nico Hülkenberg. Could he be on for his first Formula 1 podium? Will Fernando, or perhaps us, all the way from down from 18th, have something to do about it? Here we go then, our objective is 9th. We've got to gain 9 places. The 5 lights are on. And they are out. The 2014 Formula 1 season is underway. It's a good start for us. We get past Pastor Maldonado, the 2 Saubers getting off to a bit of a weak start. We're going to push past Adrian Sutil and come into the first corner. We'll play it clean. But as you can see, so much space being left by drivers. And Valtteri Bottas has dropped back a little bit as well. And we are just on the straight, being squeezed a little bit to the outside by Bottas. We don't want to get into any sort of danger, but we're on that outside line. We can't do too much about this, but it looks like that Valtteri Bottas has broken way too early. But Daniel Kvyat just brake checks us going to that corner. A great bit of ground made up by John-Eric Verne, getting past both us, Daniel Kvyat and Jensen Button. But that is a bit of a slide for, I think that must be Nico Hülkenberg. No, it's actually Sergio Perez up above, who seems to have had a very good start as well from 10th place. Be interested to see that there's a lot of drivers that have dropped down from their grid spots, particularly for Sergio Perez to be all the way up from 10th to 7th. But a great start from us, going all the way from 18th place up to 9th place. Now the question is, can we keep the pace with our contemporaries up in the top 8? Because in qualifying, as you're well aware, we were way off that pace. But hopefully we can keep up with Danny Ricciardo and with Sergio Perez. Of course, we haven't showcased our pace on the option tyres just yet, but that is not the best way to go through that corner at all. And we are under pressure here from the Frenchman, John-Eric Verne, in his 2nd year with Toro Rosso. But Daniel Ricciardo already in the Red Bull starting to pull away, so we could have a bit of a problem here. And as I said before, that first lap was the best chance to make up position, and 9th might just be our potential in this race. I think it's that third sector, you know, where we're losing a lot of time, and I can't pick up where we are. We were 1.6 seconds away from Daniel Ricciardo at the end of Sector 1 in the last lap. That was compared to 1.9 over the line on the first lap. That is not the best line through there, and as you can see, we're just a little bit scruffy at the moment. Trying to get to grips with the handling of the game. It's going to take a little bit of a while, I suppose, to get back into this game. It's a lot different from the current Formula 1 games, but we've lost more time to Daniel Ricciardo in that first sector, 3.2 seconds away from the Australian in his home race. But we have developed a bit of a gap to John-Eric Verne. So as I said before, this can be used as a bit of a test session. Try and pick up the pace wherever we can. I think we should be able to remain in ninth place, but anything that happens, the safety car, crash for anyone, we'll try and pick up the pieces. But this, I would say, unfortunately, is going to be a bit of a mediocre race to start off the season. Not the best way to start. For us, definitely do a practice before the next race because we're not up to that optimum pace. But a few points in this race isn't going to harm our cause, but it's not the best way to start. But considering we started in 18th, that was a bit of a detriment to us anyway. But it looks like Fernando Alonso, looking on the map there, is in second place. Let's have a look at this. Yes, Alonso has moved up to second. Nico Hülkenberg retains that third place, despite getting overtaken by Alonso by getting past Nico Rosberg. It's Massa in fifth. The first, the Red Bulls in sixth. And interesting to see that Bottas and both the McLarens have dropped out that top 10. And Adrian Sutil looks to have dropped back a little bit as well. So Kobayashi is the highest of those bottom team drivers. So interesting start here, interesting race to happen. Nico Hülkenberg, could he get a Force India podium? That would be as much of a turn up as the book, I think, as us qualifying in the bottom 7. And you'll notice there's only 21 drivers left in the field. That's because Kevin Magnussen has dropped out. I said that McLarens have dropped back. Luckily, Button's still in the race, running down in 13th place. But Kevin Magnussen is out of the race. So this is a complete parallel universe to that first race in real life where both McLarens managed to jump on the podium following Daniel Ricciardo's disqualification. So not the best start to the season for McLaren at all. And it looks like it's Fernando Alonso who's making the most of it for Ferrari because we certainly aren't down in 9th. I'll tell you something, looking on the minimap once again, I know that it's not the most exciting race for us, but Nico Hülkenberg is holding his own against Fernando Alonso, so it makes me wonder whether he's on a shorter run than Fernando. But impressive pace from the Force India right from the outset, and if the Force India can produce results like that, we're in for a really changeable season. Of course, Lewis Hamilton's leads the race, and it's not even the two Mercedes at the front. That's the most surprising thing here. Maybe out of the pit stops and just by pure pace, Nico Rosberg might take second today, but a completely shaken up grid, and that's great to see. It's pit stop time then, and we're looking good in this lap. We've been pushing to try and build up a gap to the guys behind and face no threat for that 9th place. And we're about 3/10 up on our fastest lap so far, and with pretty bad tyre wear. That is pretty impressive, but here we go coming into the pits. Sebastian Vettel and Lewis Hamilton have already pitted, so don't worry about the fact that we might have snuck up 2 places somewhere. But let's get in for the pit stops, and here we go. Looks like Fernando's going for a longer stint. I think he is on those option tyres. Just have a quick look as we go. Yeah, so Alonso going for a longer stint on the options. Will that come back to harm him? I'm not sure. But Hamilton and Rosberg have all pitted now. So it's only Alonso, Perez and Valtteri Bottas that remain out there on those option tyres. But Alonso, as you can see, pushing really hard on those option tyres. Just set a fastest lap of the race with a 1:28 dead. And that is the Toro Rosso of Kvyat, who very nearly jumped us actually there. Sebastian Vettel is quite a way ahead as well. And who's that coming out now? That's a Marussia, is it? Is that a Marussia? Surely a Marussia who hasn't pitted yet. You would have thought. I don't think that the Marussia were not that bad, surely, to be overtook by Max Chilton. No offence, Chilton, but yeah. So the minimum we can get here today is 10th, as long as we don't make any silly mistakes. We've got a new pair of tyres on. A new set of tyres on. It's not like we've just changed the fronts. We've got a new set of tyres on the car. Our objective is 9th, and we should be okay. But interested to see how it plays out at the front now, with those 3 taking a longer stint on the option tyres. Lewis Hamilton was pulling away from the field quite a bit, but can Alonso and even Hülkenberg, who was holding his own at the front, can they minimise the gap on Lewis Hamilton in this first race? Thought you'd like to see an overtake. That's a bit late though, isn't it? But Chilton gets out the way anyway. Fairly respectable between the 2 Brits on the field. Sebastian Vettel is the next car ahead, and he's quite a way ahead, so not sure if Ricciardo's pitted yet or not. Ricciardo and, Bottas, I think, was behind us, wasn't he? I don't think he was ahead. He might have been ahead of us, but let's see. Has he jumped us in the pits? I'm not sure. There is Bottas, and I think he might well have jumped us It looks like he has, because everybody else has pitted ahead. So we've actually lost a place in the stops. John-Eric Verns had quite a poor one. He was only 2 seconds behind us, and he has dropped quite a way behind us. But Valtteri Bottas is the new man out the pits, and it's our job now to just push as far as we can and as hard as we can, just to try and regain that place. But it's going to be tricky, but let's see what we can do. Pushing like an absolute madman to try and keep up with Valtteri Bottas, and it's really frustrating because in some sections of the track we are a lot quicker than him, particularly in Sector 2. We were only about 5 tenths behind Valtteri Bottas in the last lap, but in Sector 3, that is really where we seem to be losing time. Don't know if that's down to our setup again, perhaps using a custom setup might help there. It just seems that we're not getting the acceleration off the corners whatsoever. We were 1.4 seconds behind Bottas at the line last time, and it's only 9 tenths now, just below a second. And it's all well and good getting that DRS coming into the lap, but of course it's just regaining the loss that we've made in Sector 3 really. We can keep up with him in this section of the track quite easily, but as we get to the last sector, we do fall quite a way behind Bottas. I'll show you the rest of the lap just to show you what I mean. As you can see, we've gained a few tenths once again on the fin, but it seems like he's just drifting away a bit on the sections where he can gain a little bit of speed on us, which just doesn't help in the situation at all. So as we come into this last sector, I think it's this corner coming up that doesn't help us. We can't do it in 5th because it's just not working in 5th. That's probably one of the best lines we took through that corner all day. But as we go down 2nd into the last corner, I think it's this corner as well, where we're just not getting the acceleration out of it. And the AI, as you can see, just go way into the distance. We get the DRS, but of course, in effect, doesn't really mean much because we've lost the time to Valtteri Bottas. As you can see, the gap back up to 1.3 seconds, despite it going all the way down to 6 tenths at the end of Sector 2. So unless we can get that Sector 3 sorted, as hard as we push, I can't see a way past Valtteri Bottas, interesting, past Valtteri Bottas in this race. Just had word from the pits that we need to get past Valtteri Bottas. Apparently we're a lot quicker than Bottas in Sector 1, but as we've seen already, we're just not that quick in Sector 2 and 3, and with the tyres not necessarily gone off, but their peak performance has gone, Valtteri Bottas has definitely now got into the distance, and without a mistake from Valtteri, I think it's just going to be the solitary point we pick up on our debut. Starting lap 15 of 15, and this isn't the result I hoped for in this first race, to be honest, but we have to look at it positively in that, yes, we've picked up a point. We're a hell of a lot quicker than the guys behind, as you can see. We've got Kvyat 7 seconds back, Verner further 2 seconds back, so we've made up a lot of ground on them, considering they were only sort of a second and a half, 2 seconds behind earlier on. So we've definitely got the pace advantage on them, but we've got a lot to do, a lot to work on. You can probably tell my handling's a little bit skewy, if not brilliant, of the car. Don't quite feel comfortable yet in this Ferrari, so it's going to take a few races to get that comfortability. I don't even know if that's a word with this Ferrari, but as you can see, we've let off the pace a little bit now. Valtteri Bottas is way into the distance. I don't actually know who's going to win this race. I would guess it's going to be Lewis Hamilton. I don't think that if Fernando was winning, I presume that it would come in my earpiece that Fernando is the lead driver of this race, but it doesn't look like he will be. But an interesting race to start us off with. A bit of variation, especially with the likes of Hulkenberg, potentially getting a podium or at least a top 5 position. That'd be really strong for the Force India driver. So we've got an interesting season to come up ahead, and Lewis Hamilton is the winner of the race. Hopefully Fernando managed to get a 2nd place behind him, but we'll find out in due course. Unfortunately, we're not going to hit our objective of finishing in P9, but from P18 to finish P10 to salvage a solitary point isn't a bad result at all, really. You can't complain too much considering our qualifying performance. You just need to improve qualifying next time, because if you qualify all the way down in 18th, it doesn't really help your cause at all. But coming across the line for our first race for Ferrari, they're not going to be too happy with our performance, but we can only improve from there. It's a solitary point. 10th place, Fernando does manage to finish in 2nd. That's a lot of positivity for the team on this opening day of the season. And who is it in 3rd? Oh, Hulkenberg dropped back to 6th. So it must have been a mistake for Nico Hulkenberg that dropped him all the way back to 6th. That's interesting. Very interesting. He did start in 3rd, Hulkenberg, and was in 3rd for a long time. It looks like the undercut from Nico Rosberg worked for him. And it was actually Perez who qualified 7 places below his teammates, who finished above him. Sebastian Vettel must have had a poor run in the pit stops as well, but there was only 1.7 seconds between the Force India of Sergio Perez in 4th and the Red Bull, the 2nd Red Bull of Sebastian Vettel, all the way down in 8th. We had the 2 Toro Rossos, then Jenson Button, not a great race for him. As you can probably see, we're in that group between ourselves and Jenson Button, who were setting those high 29s. Everybody else in the field was way above us. Valtteri Bottas even with the fastest lap a second above, so it was going to be quite an uphill task to beat him. As you can see, Kevin Magnussen, the sole retiree from the race, and of course the championship standings are exactly the same as the race finishes. But the constructors sees Force India in second. You would not be expecting that after the first race, would you? Toro Rosso, McLaren, Sauber and Lotus not to get off the mark yet. Not surprised the bottom two teams haven't got off the mark. But we've got Red Bull in 5th with 10, Williams with 12, ourselves, of course, Fernando Alonso contributing a lot to that with 19 points in 3rd. Sahara Force India getting off to a great start to their season with 20 points. We'd love to see them competitive, another team up the top of the grid in this season, and Mercedes already on double the points of anybody else in 1st place, and that team is going to be one that just sails off into the distance. The Mercedes so quick compared to anybody else this season. I suppose myself, Fernando, maybe even those Force Indians seem to look really good, might be able to snatch a win from them in 1 or 2 races where their car performance isn't so great. But in the majority of races, you have to say that Mercedes are going to be strong favourites to win them. But that was a good race. I did enjoy that despite not being the best. And there you go. Tyre wear issues, apparently. I didn't really see it was that bad. But good to see that Fernando could separate the two Mercedes. At the end of the day, it would have been pretty boring if it was a 1-2 for them. But next time out, in the next episode, we go to Malaysia, the Sepang International Circuit, for another 14-lap race. I do like Malaysia compared to Australia, so hopefully it should be a bit of a better race for us. As you can see, we gained 8 positions, and we weren't too bad in the end. There's a chance of rain on Friday, but that shouldn't bother us. And again, another clean race in terms of the weather. But if you enjoyed that, make sure to leave a like down below. I'm really enjoying this, actually. I only just done the one race, but I am really enjoying it, and hopefully that continues on to the next few races. As I said, if you enjoyed that, make sure to leave a like down below. Comment your thoughts on the 2014 season, any nostalgia this game seems to bring, and where you think we'll finish in the championship. And don't you dare say 10th, I'll be offended. Probably be higher when we actually do finish. Anyway, subscribe for regular Formula 1 content, as well as the other content on the channel, primarily snooker and retro gaming content. But apart from that, that is it from me today. I'd like to thank you for joining me today. And that is going to be it for this video. Thank you for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Goodbye for now.